It's been a little while since I've done an experiment like this, and I thought it'd be kind of fun, so I hope you guys enjoy it. I have 4 different kinds of kale that I've never grown. 3 of these. I've grown this one, which is red Russian kale, but these other ones I've never grown before, and I thought it'd be fun to grow them all at the same time and see which ones I like best, or there's some I'd like to add to what I normally grow. Red Russian kale is something I grow pretty regularly. I don't grow it every week, but it's pretty regular. And these other ones, I have no idea what they're going to be like, so let's find out together if there's something that is going to be a great thing to grow. I have already gone and labeled the front of each tray so that I'll know as I go through which one is which. I don't normally label my trays, but because I don't know how easy it's going to be to tell the difference between these, I thought it'd be a good idea to label them. The soil I'll be using today is ProMix, the HP. That is some of the more expensive ProMix, and you don't need to use that. I think the BX is the model that would be recommended for microgreens typically. I just happen to have a good friend that owns a hydroponics store, and they carry the high quality stuff, and he gives me a great deal on it, so no reason to not use it. Take these out of here for now. Each tray will be getting 3 scoops. I also usually buy bales. It's more cost effective, but in the winter time when I'm growing indoors, I usually don't like dealing with bales because I don't like having to screen the soil. Even the bag is a little clumpy and could be screened, but it's just a hassle to do indoors, so I don't. So every tray is full of soil. It's all spread out nice and even. Now I'm just going to go water this in pretty heavily, and I'll just be using the my utility sink to do that. I'll spray it all down. All the soil is nice and wet. We're going to start with red Russian kale. And I'm going to plant lighter than you really need to, but I want to grow each of these to a first, like, good size true leaf. That's when at least the red Russian kale really shines. You get these nice furry leaves that look beautiful. And I find that my chefs usually, they'll buy it because of how nice it looks. They don't really care that it's kale. Other people might care, but I like to grow them that way because it looks better. So I am going to use 1 level tablespoon per tray. So we'll do 1 of those for the red Russian. By making it nice and light like this, you have a lot better chance of having a successful grow that grows to the first true leaf without having a lot of dampen off in the middle, or you can have issues where you can't get enough airflow through it because you planted it too thick. And so even though the tray might look great on top, when you go to harvest it, there's all this gooey dying off ones underneath. And that's a real pain to deal with. So you're not going to get a huge yield this way, but you can get a really nice looking product. Here we have lacinato. Probably not pronouncing that right, but we'll give this a shot. Same thing, we'll do one tablespoon to a tray. Seed's a much different color than the red Russian. The red Russian kale is like almost a black seed. These are more of a brown seed. Really curious to see how these trays differ from one another. I think it's going to be a really fun experiment. All these seeds came from True Leaf Market, and if you want to check them out, I'll have a link for each seed in the description. So if you want to try them out, it'll be easy for you to find where to get them. This variety is blue Scotch curled kale. And this seed, it's kind of funny. So we started with like a black seed, dark brown seed, and now we've got even a lighter brown seed. So for whatever reason, they're getting lighter as we go. For our final variety, we have Dwarf Siberian. These are nearly a black seed. Just gonna give all the seeds a nice mist, make sure they're all wet all the way around. Now I'm just gonna stack these all up. Now I'm going to plant one tray of amaranth, and I'll use that as my cap tray. I always finish off my stacks with a tray that I wouldn't stack, like amaranth or basil. And so we'll use amaranth this time, and I'll just put that as my cap tray with an upside down tray over the top as a humidity dome. Put it on my rack, and we'll check back on it in about 4 days. Just unstacked the kale. Here is the dwarf Siberian. Here's the blue Scotch, the lacinato, and the red Russian kale. I'm surprised the red Russian kale looks the by far the smallest out of all of them so far. But check back in a couple days and see how they're doing. If you're enjoying this experiment and you enjoy my content in general, consider becoming a patron at patreon.com, Corey's Cave. Every Seed Club member by December 1st this year, 2019, will be getting enough seed to run the same experiment shipped directly to them from me. Being a Patreon also has other benefits, such as my soil course, Microgreens on Soil, is included for free for all Seed Club member patrons. Every patron is really appreciated, whether you're a Seed Club member or of a lower tier. Thank you to all my patrons. 21 days from seed, and this is what we have. This is the dwarf Siberian. This one, it grew pretty tall, and then I didn't get to it in time to water it, so they kind of started laying over, but they're still okay. None of these, except for the red Russian kale, really produced the first true leaves the way I really wanted. They do have some little frills, but not to the extent that I wanted out of any of them. Blue Scotch. This one stayed nice and short, really compact. This is the lacinato, which I'm sure I'm not pronouncing correctly, but we'll go with it. This one did start growing some pretty decent looking true leaves. And then we've got the good old red Russian kale, which I know for me is probably my favorite out of this group of kales, which is the one I always grew before anyways, but I wanted to run this experiment and see if there was something else I liked better. You can see that I have a couple of them in here that were starting to die, and that's probably lack of nutrients. With a grow this long, I probably should have been adding nutrients to these, and they would have done a little bit better. All right, it's time to harvest all this up. Now what I'm gonna do with this is I'm gonna take all 4 kales, throw them in this bowl. I'm gonna take some red rock cabbage that I have and some amaranth, and we'll mix all that in, and we'll just make a mix out of it. Be a lot easier way of getting rid of it rather than trying to like package up individual kales. It'll make a really pretty mix, and it'll package up really nice. So let's get started. I am seeing on this one, this is the dwarf Siberian. Yeah, dwarf Siberian, that at this end, I've got a couple that really had some big offshoots of the first true leaf, but most of them did not do that. So let's get harvesting. With the way they laid over this way, it'll be easier to harvest them starting at that side. You'll notice I'm wearing gloves today. I don't always wear gloves when I'm harvesting, but seeing how I'm making a mix, I'll be handling these a little bit more than I normally would, and it's a good idea to wear gloves. I'll be, you know, mixing all this up when I'm done. This seems to be having a little bit of a broccoli kind of scent to it as I'm harvesting. Let's give one a try and see what it tastes like. Maybe a little bit more flavor than I was really expecting out of it. It does have a little bit of a broccoli kind of punch to it. I don't know if I would know that it's not broccoli if you didn't tell me that it was kale. But not a powerful flavor. It's pretty mild. So that was the dwarf Siberian. Ironically, it was the tallest of all of them. But so this is what I got. It's probably about, I'd say it's about 6 ounces. And next we will get started on the blue Scotch. We grab that, we'll chop that one up. This was the most compact of all of them, the blue Scotch. They didn't grow real tall. There are some first true leaves, but they're not real pronounced, they're not real obvious. And because I wasn't given this any nutrient supplement, I can see a little bit of yellowing on the leaves. It's not significant, they're just fine, but they would have done better had I been giving them nutrients. 21 days is a really long grow in the microgreen world. I wasn't sure how nutrient thirsty these would be. And these are being a little bit easier to harvest than the last one because these didn't get tall and fall over, so it's not as much of a mess. This one that's got some pretty nice true leaves on it. I'm not noticing as much scent coming off the blue Scotch as I did the dwarf Siberian, but it could just be that the scent's already here, so I'm not really picking it up more. But let's try it. It's definitely got more of a crunch to it. It's a little bit more, I don't know the word for it, just more to it than the dwarf Siberian. I wouldn't say the flavor is really any different. There we go. I'd say that was probably another 6 ounces, so there should be about 12 ounces in there right now. All right, now let's harvest the lacinato. This is the darkest green of the 4 I grew. It's a really deep green. It did have some pretty nice true leaves coming out of it. And let's harvest it up and see how it looks. It's also the second most compact. These are just slightly taller than the blue Scotch. And here's one that's got a decent sized true leaf on it. Let's give it a taste, see if it's any different than the other 2. Now this one has a little bit harder stem on it than the other 2. It's a little bit just even crunchier than the blue Scotch. And it does have a little bit more powerful flavor than the other 2 as well. Still tastes like broccoli to me, but it's stronger flavored than the other 2. Let's keep harvesting. So now we got the lacinato in there. Like I said, I'm guessing that was closer to 8 ounces in that. This was probably the highest yielding of all of them. Although the red Russian kale, that looks like it's a pretty good sized tray as well. So if I'm right, on the 2 6-ounce trays and an 8-ounce tray, that would mean that we've got about 20 ounces right here. And I think that's probably pretty close. All right, now for my favorite one, which is the red Russian kale. I was really hoping that one of the other ones would stand out and be significantly different, but they really didn't. And the red Russian kale has the prettiest true leaves on it of any of them. And this is one, like I said, I grow it regularly anyways. Unfortunately, they do usually grow like this for me, where they get kind of tall and start falling over. It's just when you're trying to get that true leaf, it kind of something you have to deal with. It's kind of hard to describe, but I would say that this has probably the best flavor out of all four of them as well. The Lacinato was probably a close second. So let's get this all harvested. Now this is what's going to make the mix start to really pop and look a lot better. Get a little color in there. You can see just how dense all of these got with growing just 1 tablespoon. A lot of people would have put 3 times that much in there, and they would have harvested them way sooner, but you wouldn't have gotten that first true leaf. I really like the first true leaf on most of my microgreens. And you wouldn't have wanted to grow them any more dense than I did for that long period of time, because you'll just end up with all kinds of problems from doing that. But all these grew really great. I didn't have any issues with any funguses, any molds, no damping off. So growing them nice and light the way I wanted to really worked out. That does it for the kales. Now I'm going to put in we'll do the Mammoth Red Rock cabbage and then the amaranth. You can see after that Red Russian kale got added, my bowl's getting pretty full. But we've still got some room. Just got to be careful when I'm mixing it that we don't make a huge mess. So here's my Mammoth Red Rock. This is one of the downfalls of the thin trays. This is one of Pepe Fasto's trays. He's an awesome guy. He's got really good microgreens videos as well. And he sent me some of these trays a while back. They're phenomenal trays. They're really robust, really rugged. But sometimes if you're going to grow things for very long, they can kind of fall over because you don't have the edges of the tray to help hold everything together. But at the same time, it's way easier to harvest because you don't have to go down in. You can just grab some and cut them right at the bottom of the stem. And it's nice and easy to harvest them. That's going to add some really nice color. Another huge benefit to shallow trays like this is the airflow that you get across the whole thing. I find that on deep trays, if you're not putting a bunch of soil on it, that it's really hard for air to get down into the tray. And so you're more likely to get dampen off issues, where I haven't had many dampen off issues when I've used one of Pepe's trays. He was selling these in Australia. I'm not sure if he still is. Definitely give him a look. You'll probably find him in my comment section. All right, there's our Red Rock cabbage. Our bowl is getting pretty full. Only thing left to do now is add some amaranth for some nice color. Got a nice little tray here of amaranth that this could grow for another week easily, but you can pretty much throw amaranth in at almost any age when you're putting it in a mix, and it will really add color and make that package really pop. So that's what we're going to do with this. Just add this in there. It can be a little bit of a challenge to harvest when you're cutting them this young because they're so short. I didn't let these ones stretch as much as I normally do in the blackout dome. All right, we got our amaranth all in there. I'm gonna go ahead and mix all this up and try not to make a mess while I do it. Then we'll package it all up. I know this is becoming a long video, Hope I haven't lost too many of you along the way. If you've made it this far, please leave a comment. Let me know what you think. Is the video too long? Too boring? Or do you enjoy it? Another nice thing about when you add in amaranth, you can tell how well you're mixing because you'll see if the amaranth is all the way through it or not. Alright, I'd say that's mixed up pretty good. So let me grab my scale and clean up my mess I made, and I'll package up some of this. We should be able to get quite a few packages out of this. Just start filling these right up. I'm going for 2 ounces per package. We'll zero it out. Got 2.35. I'll take a little bit out because the package is kind of stuffed as it is. 2.1. That's pretty good. It's a nice, beautiful little package. These will get labeled as Chef's Blend, which is a term I like to use. I don't even put on what's in it. It's a Chef's Blend of microgreens. There could be anything in there. I'm gonna package all this up and then we'll get that camera right back on and see how much we got out of it. All right, we've made it to the end of the video. So what we ended up with here is 15 2-ounce packages of Chef's Blend. These are each 2 ounces, which means there's 30 ounces in total. They look great. You can see that amaranth really helps make it pop. That's going to conclude this video. I hope you enjoyed it. It's a lengthy video. Definitely check out Patreon if you want to get in on my seed club and get some of these seeds shipped to you. Like I said, everyone would be getting a 4 different kinds of kale, enough to grow at least 1 tray, shipped to you in December. So anybody who is a Patreon by December 1st will be included on that. Definitely check out my affiliate links for True Leaf Market if you're interested in purchasing seeds through them. These clamshells are also listed in my description, amongst other things. The Microgreens on Soil course is included for Seed Club members on Patreon. And if you don't want to be a patron, then and you're interested in that course, it's only a $25 course, so it's not very expensive. That's going to do it, guys. Thanks for watching.